Ho, ho, ho from Lo-Lo-Ho. Hey guys, we are Sean and Christy. This is Long, Long Honeymoon coming to you today during this festive holiday season with a new concept we are calling 20 questions.
There might be more than 20 questions, but we'll start with there.
We'll say at least 20 questions that we will field from you, our viewing audience. And these particular questions came from a social media platform that rhymes with Telegram. But we will be looking at YouTube comments to find questions for future episodes. And by the way, we just celebrated our 15-year YouTube birthday or anniversary.
Yeah.
So this
our YouTube anniversary. What you call it?
Long, Long Honeymoon first appeared on YouTube back in December of 2006. So we've been doing it a long, long time. Why are we not better at this by now? I don't know. All right, 20 questions starts now from Jacques Tex. Grits or hash browns? Which is your favorite? I'm going grits. I'm a Southern boy. And if you get grits done right, they are delicious.
Yes, they're not soupy. They should be thick.
Now,
like mashed potatoes.
Bad grits
are really bad.
Are bad. In that case, I would flip to hash browns.
I love both, but I like grits with shrimp and grits. So for that kind of meal, if it's breakfast, I'm going to go with hash browns because I have to go to Waffle House and get them scattered, covered, and smothered. Final answer.
It's so funny how even the simplest of questions will make you debate it in your mind. I don't know. I'm not disrespecting hash browns, I promise. I like a good hash brown. Let's see. Micro Mini Adventures asks, can I place my wet lips on my generator's plug-in? I'm going to say, yes, you can. But I can think of better places you could place your wet lips.
I don't even want to know what this question is implying or what they're asking.
This person just loves their generator.
I mean, whatever.
Out There Too asks a kind of popular question of where did you guys go on your first date together?
Yeah, where'd we go?
We went all the way to first base.
Does he know? What are the odds that he knows?
I know. We went to a Japanese steakhouse.
We did. Good answer.
Teppanyaki, where they prepare the food right in front of you.
Yes. It was fun.
So obviously it was a success.
Let's see. DG2 Adventures says, would you buy an Airstream again if you were buying in the near future, or would you go another route? We get asked this question a lot, like if we would buy another Airstream or would we get something different. I think if we were buying something today, I think we would probably buy another Airstream. Maybe with just a slightly different configuration. What do you think?
Overall, we've been very pleased with our Airstream. Nothing is perfect. No product is perfect. But it's one of the few things I've ever bought that's really appreciated in value over the years. I've documented this in various books that we've published over the years, but we paid $31,000 for our Airstream back in 2007, and it's worth a lot more than that today. So there aren't too many products, certainly in the RV world, that actually appreciate in value over time.
We did buy our Airstream used. So.
We did. So overall, we're happy with our Airstream. Now, it's not to say we wouldn't like to get into something different or experience something different in the future. We'll talk about that more later.
WV Traveler says, besides YouTube, what do y'all do for a living? Well, right now, this is it.
Previously, I worked as a wombat wrangler.
It took us a long time to build our channel to the size that it is that allows us to do it as our job. It is a full-time gig. I mean, when you see an edited video that Sean has worked on where it's got all these drone shots and all these graphics that come in and, telling the story and all this footage, for every 1 minute of edited content, it usually equals about an hour of editing. So when you see a 25-minute edited video, that was 25 hours of editing that went into that video. That's not including the filming it. So there is a lot of work that goes into it. And, we do make money off of these videos thanks to YouTube for selling advertising around our content. So we're appreciative to that. it's what we do.
Even now, I still do a little bit of pimping on the side. All right, Rainy Echo 97 asks, what is your favorite treat while traveling around in the truck? And I assume you're talking about snacks that we might carry in the truck. Fentanyl popsicles. Nope, just kidding. Don't joke about fentanyl, kids. There's nothing funny about fentanyl. I would say mixed nuts.
Yeah, we eat a lot of mixed nuts.
You go to Costco.
Almonds, cashews.
Costco, you can get the big bin of mixed nuts. It's like $15, but it's very satisfying and lasts quite a while.
I would say in years past, it's probably been popcorn, like the big pre-popped bags of popcorn. So those two things are probably the most popular items we snack on. Ellen Dutton says, what's the worst smell you've had to deal with while camping?
I know the answer to this one. One year, we went to go camping in our airstream, and we discovered that the power had failed, and all the contents of our refrigerator and freezer had thawed and rotted.
And there were
melted.
Maggots in the freezer. It's disgusting. It took me like 3 days to clean that out.
So don't you agree? That has to have been the most disgusting.
But we weren't sleeping in it at the time. That was when we were sort of getting prepared to leave on our trip. But yeah, we couldn't leave until we got that smell out. It was so horrific.
Yeah, but imagine you walk to your RV refrigerator, you open the door, and there are maggots inside.
It was awful. It was really awful. I took video of it, but it was so disgusting that I don't know if we ever shared it.
MP879 Tuck asks, when is the camper too small? We get asked this question occasionally about, I guess you'd say, claustrophobia and whether or not our 25-foot travel trailer is too small for us or too small for two people to share for extended periods of time.
And I will say, you may not realize it, but we're kind of tall people. Like Sean's 6'3" and I'm 5'9", so we're not like little people. So, it is definitely an adjustment when we get into our camper size-wise. But I would say when it gets too small is when we've had really bad weather for like an extended period of time, where we've sort of been stuck inside for days at a time. That's when you start to feel like a little closed in.
I would also say it gets too small when you pack too much stuff or accumulate too much stuff. And I think a problem that we struggle with every year is just the accumulation of too much clutter. And, we actually have a nice, comfortable, spacious couch, but when half of the couch is consumed by clutter, you can't use that space. And that's true of the floor space as well. The more stuff that piles up inside your RV, the less you can actually use and enjoy. So one of my missions going forward will be to accumulate less stuff and bring less stuff.
I would say also it can get too small if you're both sick at the same time. Like if you both get a cold or something, or heaven forbid a stomach virus, then it's too small.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're usually pretty good.
Roland with the Quins asks, if not an Airstream, then what other trailer would you look at to use for travel? I've heard a lot of good reports about Lance travel trailers. I think they have an active owners community, and I've heard good things about them.
I think the Olivers have really good results as well, or good, reviews, I should say. Yeah,
I've admired the Olivers for their design because they looks like basically two pieces of fiberglass slapped together, and there's just no leaks. Like, I think their leaks are very rare in one of those Oliver trailers.
But I think if we were not going to have an Airstream, we wouldn't get another travel trailer. We would probably get, I would say probably like a Tiffin motorhome or something. That'd be my guess as to what we would go to if we ditched our Airstream. Powerhuff wants to know, are you both retired? We are not retired.
We're not retired. We're simply tired.
Susie Q3 says, how do you stay happily married while RVing? With a wink. How do we stay happily married when we're RVing?
Well, that kind of goes to the question of when is the camper too small or not. I think we stay happily married because we work together pretty well. We cooperate quite a lot. We each kind of have our areas of the RV and RV travel that we focus on. And so I think, for example, if we're setting up to leave a destination or if we're arriving at a destination, we have our own sort of designated tasks that we do, and we don't tread too much on the other person's space.
I think it goes back to, though, if you get along at home for the most part, you're probably going to be fine in an RV. It just depends. If you're used to spending a lot of time together, then I think you'll be okay. If you're people that don't spend much time together and then you're thrown into an RV together, that might be when you have problems.
The RV is kind of a crucible.
Yeah.
How about that?
It will either show all your strengths or it will bring out all of your weaknesses and flaws.
Yeah, if you're a couple that already fights, then you're going to keep on fighting probably in the RV. Sorry to break that news to you.
Yeah.
And by the way, we have done a video on that specific topic, and it's something like how to get along in an RV without killing someone or something like that. So if you look on our channel, you will find the video dedicated to that topic. Robert V Dolan asks, how do you stay so positive in this crazy time of life? This really is a crazy time of human existence. It's the best of times and it's the worst of times. And we do try to stay positive. It's not always easy. I think, first of all, focus on your actual daily experiences and what you actually experience in real life, and not so much on the reality that's painted for you by the media. Secondly, have a filter with social media. I think social media is like cigarettes for your brain. And it's very dangerous to get addicted to social media because there are a lot of negative influences on social media, unfortunately.
I think you have to go with that Marie Kondo approach. Like, if it brings you joy, keep it. And if it doesn't, let it go. And I think that applies to social media. If you go to different channels on social media and they bring you joy and you leave laughing or feeling more positive about things, stick with them, like us. But if you go there and you leave angry or upset or hurt or mad or frustrated, then maybe you should just ditch it because it's not benefiting your daily life.
One Glenn Cannon asks, will you ever upgrade Seymour for a new truck? In other words, would we ever downgrade from our Ford F-250 into a newer truck? The 6-liter Ford F-250 is widely considered the finest vehicle ever constructed. Right?
That's right.
Because Seymour is getting it done.
He's the best.
Now, actually, we are very open to getting a new truck, and I actually made some phone calls this past year and was pretty serious about doing it. And a friend of mine who actually sells trucks for a living advised me to wait. He just said, Sean, it's a really crazy market right now. There are shortages on new trucks, and they're selling for far over their sticker price. If you have a truck now that you're pleased with, that's getting the job done, just stick with it for a while longer. So with that said, we are looking pretty closely at getting into a new truck this next year. And a lot of it just depends on the market and what we find that's available out there that might suit our needs.
Yeah, we're not going to do it until we feel like we're getting the best deal and, getting what we need. So Seymour will get us through until then.
By the way, Seymour, our 2007 or Ford F-250, just crossed the 200,000 mile plateau
on this trip.
So Seymour's got about 202,000 miles on the odometer right now.
Going strong.
Yeah, still going strong.
Teaspoon Creation asks, do you have kids? We do not have kids. Just the two of us and baby girl Chihuahua, who's at the groomer right now. That's why you don't see her with us.
Actually, it's illegal for us to raise baby goats in our neighborhood. It would be an HOA violation. So, no kids.
G. Remkus says, if you just bought an Airstream, we did, what is the first accessory we should purchase? I guess I'm going to go with something big, like a generator. Just because I think a generator is going to give you a lot of freedom to go wherever you want to go with your Airstream. You're not going to be tied down to being in a campground, to needing those hookups. I think a generator is your ticket to freedom.
I'm going to go with something small but essential and say leveling blocks or links levelers, because
Yeah.
It's no fun camping when you're not level.
When you're crooked. No fun sleeping on a crooked bed.
So that's a pretty cheap expense. I mean, for like $50, you can have a set of leveling blocks that should last you for years.
Yes.
Dog Giraffe asks, will you ever go back to Alaska? My answer is yes, we will go back to Alaska, or at least that would be my hope.
Yeah, I think we will.
Yeah, and you know, with what's going on in the last couple of years, the border of Canada has been closed.
Yeah, because previously in 2020, we were talking about maybe doing it in 2021. This was before pandemic. And so, you know, when the border was closed, obviously it wasn't an option. So maybe, I don't know if we'll do it this next year, because I don't know if things are really going to be reopened well enough again. But maybe in 2024 or 2023.
C. Palmer 914 asks, what is the longest amount of time you've spent on the road before heading back home?
I would say our Alaska trip.
Yeah, the Alaska trip, we were gone for a good 5 or 6 months.
Yeah, almost 6 months. I think we were just like a week shy of being gone for 6 months. So that's the longest continuous RV trip we've ever done.
You know, maybe someday we will show the process of coming back home after you've been gone for 6 months, because it's slightly surreal.
Yeah.
Because you sort of rediscover all of your stuff.
You forget all the things
again.
you have
Yeah.
in your house, in your closet. You're like, oh, yeah, those shoes. I forgot I had those. Or jacket, or, you know, things in your kitchen, or...
Yeah, your furniture, your
Gadgets.
appliances. It's like somebody went on a big shopping spree and they bought all this stuff
that you like.
that you already like.
Not a moment's peace, maybe? I can't see the full name. They said, what are your favorite non-camping related hobbies?
I'm a longtime snipe hunter, and I look forward to snipe season every year. You know, I'm an avid video gamer. The last couple of years, I've spent a little bit of time playing Call of Duty Warzone.
Might be the largest understatement ever.
I have my crew of friends that I've known for many, many years, and 3 or 4 nights a week at least, we get together and we play Call of Duty in the evenings. So I think video gaming would count as a hobby I still enjoy very much.
Sure. I read, I watch TV, I go on walks with friends, I go to the gym, I like to cook, I do some cross-stitching every now and then.
2 Campers, 2 Hikers asked, do you guys have a house for times you just want to be home? We do. We do have a brick and mortar home. And, you know, that's true of probably most RV owners, especially these days.
Yeah.
But, you know, we certainly know a lot of people who are full-time RV travelers who sell everything and go full-time in the RV. And we've met some people who've done that for 15 or 20 years continuously.
Yeah.
Other people go full-time for a period of years, and then they end up going back into a brick and mortar home.
Right. So we kind of talk about the fact that we're kind of part-timers. Like we go out for long periods of time and then we come home.
Yeah, we'll say part-time, full-timers.
Linda 1022 says, what are the 3 items you would want if you were in Survivor? I haven't watched Survivor in a long time, so I forget like what kind of things they allow you to bring. I would say first and foremost, I'd want some sunscreen so I don't fry.
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Tilly hat.
Yeah.
And a microwave oven.
Microwave oven on an island. Okay.
See, if you microwave coconuts, I think they'll explode. It's a much easier way of opening a coconut.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I would say sunscreen and some sort of tarp, like for shelter, and probably the knife.
I'll share my Swiss Army knife with you.
Okay, thanks.
Linda also asked, what is the worst gift you've ever received?
That's kind of sad.
Yeah,
I think anytime somebody gives you a gift, you know, you should be appreciative, even if it's not something you like. I don't know if I have like a worst gift. I mean, can you think of something really terrible?
Worst gift ever. Probably chlamydia. Just kidding. Jenny Ferkley asks, what is your favorite wine? My favorite type of wine is called free. But if I can't find free, I'll settle for red. Now, if you're talking about just a daily, like go-to, inexpensive wine, my favorite would be Columbia Crest. Usually the Merlot, but sometimes the Cabernet. It's a relatively inexpensive, like $10 a bottle wine.
Price was no object.
If price was no object,
Camus?
probably Camus. If price was no object. Unfortunately, price is usually an object. So.
I'm really not a big drinker. Like I mean, if I'm going to drink a wine, I prefer like a red Pinot Noir. I don't really have a specific one that's my favorite, but I rarely drink it. If I'm drinking an alcoholic beverage, my number one choice is going to be beer, and it's going to be Belgian style beer. So I would say Chimay Grand Reserve, which is the blue label, or I would say Franziskaner. Those are my two favorite beers.
Jack Sarah's World asked a couple of questions. It's a two-parter. First, will Kirby Smart, Georgia's head football coach, ever figure out how to beat Nick Saban, Alabama's head football coach? Well, I certainly hope not. Because I have a feeling they may meet again in the next few weeks.
Yeah,
it's certainly a possibility.
So.
And I certainly think Kirby Smart he's an excellent coach, and he might slip up and beat Nick eventually. But Jack also asked, did Sean ever get his law degree? Some of you may know that I went to law school at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and I actually completed 2 of the 3 years of law school.
The hard part.
But ended up leaving law school to start a business with 2 longtime friends, and ended up the business did very well. And by the time I had the opportunity to go back to law school, it's too late. It's like once you enroll in law school, you have 5 years from your date of enrollment to get your degree. Mm-hmm. That's an American bar type rule.
Unless he could have gone back and finished at an unaccredited law school. So there are like 4 states where you don't have to go to an accredited law school. Actually, Alabama is one of them.
California,
Massachusetts, and maybe Florida. He had the opportunity where he could have gone to an unaccredited school and finished, but it was kind of like, I don't know, you'd already been to one of the best law schools in the country. And
so with law school, I learned just enough to be dangerous.
And also, he learned that he had zero desire to actually be a lawyer.
Yeah, more importantly.
So it was kind of like, what's the point?
No offense to you attorneys out there, but it was not for me.
Chasing Your Adventures says, what is your favorite campsite to be in for each season? Spring, summer, winter, and fall. I think we both probably have the same favorite campsite in the fall, which would be Grovant in Grand Teton National Park. I think that's a beautiful time of year to be there. For me, I would say winter would be like Key West.
Yeah, South Florida.
Like Blue Water Key is where we stay usually when we go through Key West. So that's probably one of our favorites.
Springtime, it seems like we have often ended up in New Orleans, that area. And I also like the Florida Gulf Coast in springtime. It's wonderful.
Nice. So I would say probably like Grayton Beach State Park in Florida. And then winter, oh, I'm sorry, what am I missing? Summer. Summer's a tough one because I think you got to be somewhere cooler. Probably somewhere else out west, like Montana, Glacier National Park, something like that, the Badlands. But the Badlands can actually be really hot in the summer. So maybe more like Glacier, or even further and go up towards Banff. Or Maine, like Acadia National Park. That would be nice too.
Quad XYFZ asks, what's the fuel mileage on your truck while towing? I have a 6-liter Power Stroke with the same size trailer. We typically get around 12 miles per gallon when towing. Our trailer is a classic model, which is fairly heavy. It's the heaviest model that Airstream makes. And when it's fully loaded down, it tips the scales at more than 7,000 pounds.
Because our cabinetry is real wood. All the front-facing parts of our cabinetry is real wood. It's not the MDF stuff, so that makes it a lot heavier.
And it has larger water tanks.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff like that weighs it down.
Airstream Happy says, which do you prefer, the Who or the Eagles?
You know, I've thought about this, and the answer is surprising to me, but I will say I prefer the Eagles.
I think I prefer the Eagles as well.
Even though I'm really more of a hard rock guy, but there's something about the Who that I've never really connected with for some reason. They've got a lot of great songs, but they just haven't resonated with me.
Makes me think of CSI.
You know, Pete Townsend always seemed to have a chip on his shoulder about Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think I'm more of a
Sean's a huge Led Zeppelin fan.
I'm a Led Zeppelin guy more so than a Who guy. And the Eagles has so many great songs that I find myself going back and still listening to after all these years.
They have a lot of good, like, road tripping songs. You know, songs listened to in the car with the windows down and you can sing along.
Standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona.
Yeah, we've been to the corner in Winslow, Arizona.
We have.
So I would agree. The Eagles. Wiley Reese says, if you had to pick one artist to go see in concert, who would it be? I think you probably know my answer. Maybe.
Okay, I'm going to guess my wife's answer. Miranda Lambert.
No.
Oh.
I would love to see Miranda Lambert, but if I had to pick one artist, one.
Pablo Picasso?
No.
Who?
The Rolling Stones.
Oh,
I've been trying to get you to go see the Rolling Stones. He's seen them in concert twice. I have never been. I've tried to get him to go with me this year because, I mean, you know, time is ticking here. Like they're already down one man. You know.
This is just their latest farewell tour.
I know.
They'll be doing it again 20 years from now. Don't worry about it.
They're down one man, so I need to go while Keith and Mick are still.
Mick's not even 100 yet.
Front and center.
He's got plenty of time left. To
Doesn't he have
tour.
like a newborn baby?
Probably. I'm going to give a curveball answer. And like in January, the Monty Python founder, John Cleese, is going to be appearing in Bangkok, Thailand. And he's doing a comedy tour. And I would love
That's
to
not
see...
a concert.
Well, did they say concert or did they say an artist?
To go see in concert.
Well, he sings some songs. And he's very funny. And I would like to see him, you know?
Okay. The other person I would say is I would like to see Paul McCartney. So.
You can only pick one.
I know. Rolling Stones, number one.
Lady Bird, good girl, asked taco or burrito. I'm going to go with the double-decker Dorito Chalupa Grande with extra fire sauce.
I'm going to say taco.
Yeah, I'm going to say if we're at a restaurant, I would go taco. And there's specific reasoning. The reasoning is burritos are typically so large in restaurants. It's a big commitment.
They're like as big as your head.
And it's like once you start the consumption process of the burrito, you're committed. Because it's hard to kind of like half eat a burrito. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like with tacos, you usually get 2 or 3 of those and you can kind of break up that whole process. And but if we're talking microwave lunch, then I would go burrito.
Yeah.
Because I do
He eats a lot of burritos.
have a lot of microwave burritos.
Love PDX Lucy says short stays versus long stays in one place. I'm assuming this is in the RV. I'm going to say probably shorter stays. I don't know. I like when we stay in some places for longer stays. It really just depends on the destination.
Short stays in crappy places, long stays in nice places. It does depend. It's hard to pick one or the other. I think if you have the luxury of time and you find yourself in a really nice place, then it's nice to have the long stay.
Absolutely.
But we do move around quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. Sandy, Idaho says, what's your favorite state in the United States? I'm going to go on a limb and maybe they're asking favorite state to visit in our RV. That's what I'm going to assume they're asking. And if that's the case, I'm going to say probably Wyoming. Because Yellowstone is there, Grand Teton is there. There's a lot of really just beautiful scenery there and people are nice.
Yeah, we always circle back to Wyoming pretty much every year with our RV travels. Our other favorite state would be our home state of Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely. We love Alabama.
Alabama's looking pretty darn good these days.
Yeah.
Because life is fairly normal here.
Yep.
Can't say that for every state.
Like
I'm just
normal.
saying. CK Soloway asks, what do y'all use to clean the walls and panels inside your Airstream? Well, our Airstream is an older classic model, and our walls are covered with a substance called mouse fur, which is basically a very thin carpet. And
our roof area is covered with like a vinyl material.
So that vinyl we would clean typically with those little Clorox wipes. And we use those Clorox wipes pretty much over every hard surface on the interior. The mouse fur you can kind of vacuum off.
Yeah, if you need to. And then if you ever have like a water stain, there's a solution that you can use to clean that. I can't think of what it's called, but yeah, it's just like cleaning carpet, really.
Adrian Alba asks, if not an Airstream, then what make and model RV? Love y'all.
Kind of answered this earlier, or I did. I think if we weren't in an Airstream, we would probably be in like a small motorhome of some sort, like a drivable motorhome, like a Class A maybe.
We're thinking about maybe getting a camper van or something smaller, just for shorter trips or just for different types of trips.
Yeah, not instead of the Airstream, just, as an addition to the Airstream.
Melinda Barr asks, how did you meet each other? I wish we had a really good meet cute story.
We kind of do.
I don't know that it's very cute. We did meet. We just met at a friend's house at a party.
Yeah, we met at a party, and Sean took me for a ride in his new car down the street.
That's true.
That was kind of cute. And then he ditched me. He didn't really ditch me, but he didn't even live in Alabama at the time. He lived in California. And we talked for like maybe 10 or 15 minutes that night, and that was it. And we didn't see each other again for like almost a year and a half. And then we happened to run into each other at a local live music establishment / bar.
That's right. Thursday night at Billy's.
Thursday night at Billy's. And
sparks flew.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
Yep. So, yeah, that's our meet story. Mama Betty says, what are you guys most opposite about?
I would say we are most opposite in terms of our genitalia. But that's worked out pretty well for our marriage.
The gridiron arose such a clatter.
Fans sprang from their seats and cheerleaders scattered.
And what to our wondering eyes should appear?
Out came two coaches, dodging pretzels and beer.
One obvious response would be football.
Yeah. I was going to say
in the South, football is not a religion. It's much more important than that. That's an old saying. But we cheer for opposite teams.
Yeah, rival teams. So Sean is the Alabama fan. I'm the Auburn fan.
Which you must understand, in this state where we live, it's kind of a big deal. There are some people who would not date a fan of the other team.
From the other team.
Which is kind of crazy.
I've had friends who went on dates before. And they found out the person was fan for the opposite team, and they're like, well, I can't go on a date with them again. Because, every Saturday they have to go to like their football stuff, and they don't want to be on opposing teams. So, yeah, for some people it's that serious. So that's probably the most opposite we are about something.
Greta the Airstream asks, single malt or single barrel? So I'm probably going to surprise you and go single barrel because
Single barrel.
Single
Whiskey.
barrel will be whiskey from a single barrel. It's kind of a premium whiskey, which is more of what you're going to find in the United States. Now, I love single malt, but that's more of a Scotch tradition, yeah. I love Scotch whiskey, but I end up typically more often having single barrel.
Yeah.
It's more readily available.
If I have to choose between the two, I guess I would say single barrel, but I don't really like hard liquor that much.
Aluminum Nugget asks, favorite movie? My current favorite is probably The Room by Tommy Wiseau.
You must be kidding, aren't you?
I'm going to go with Gladiator.
Interesting.
If we ever have a son, I will name him Maximus. Because I end up watching scenes from Gladiator quite often.
Gladiator.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
What we do in this life echoes through eternity. Good message.
It is a good message. I don't really know if I have a favorite movie. Like, I have a lot of movies that I like, but I don't know if I just have, like, the one end-all, be-all movie.
Yeah, it's hard when you're really put on the spot to pick one favorite because I'm sure there are probably more moving and inspiring movies.
I'll tell you one movie
Gladiator.
that I really enjoy that is a very bizarre movie, but I think it had a really powerful message to me. Like it made me very emotional. Was the movie with Robin Williams called What Dreams May Come. That movie was really just, I don't know, left an impression on me. So.
And also Throw Mama from the Train. Have you ever seen that one? That's a wonderful.
No.
Sorry. Andy Fine asked, dark or white chocolate? I'm definitely going dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
I far prefer dark chocolate.
Yep. UNC 94 Gal says, who was happy and who was sad about this year's Iron Bowl? Y'all cheer for different teams. Yes. So, yes. Sean was the happy camper. His team came back and won in like the fourth overtime, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was an insane
My team
game.
was winning the entire game, and they just botched it at the end, didn't they? Sucks.
The Traveling Baracio, sorry, we can't see your full name on this, asked, have you ever considered traveling an adventure/teardrop trailer? We haven't really thought specifically about a teardrop because we're already towing a trailer. And I think if we were going to get something different, as we've discussed, we'd be more likely to get a motorhome or camper van just to have a completely different experience. Yeah. But, when I really think about it, I could see the advantages of the teardrop and that you could take it pretty much anywhere. And it would be something that we could easily store next to our house and pack. But it'd be a very different experience for sure.
Yeah, I don't think we would legitimately have an interest in that just because Sean's so tall, and I just don't think we would be comfortable in a teardrop. I think it would be a tight squeeze, lengthwise. Tara B. Dennis, hi Tara.
Hi Tara.
Says favorite TV series. Current favorite TV series? Well, we just finished The Kaminsky Method, which is really funny. It was kind of
call that my favorite though.
No, it's not our favorite, but that's what we just finished. We really like the Anthony Bourdain, like No Reservations and those kind of shows.
I agree. Like if you're into travel, especially international travel, all the Anthony Bourdain shows were great, but No Reservations I think was especially good. As far as the all-time favorite for me, probably be Andy Griffith's show.
I knew you were going to say that.
Like to me, the Andy Griffith show was just an incredible high watermark in terms of the writing, the acting. It was hilarious. It had great characters. They used to produce, I think, more than 30 episodes a season. These days, these shows have like 6 episodes, and they call it an entire season.
Right.
Andy Griffith's show was cranking out more than 30 a year. And for 5 or 6 years when Don Knotts was on the show and that show was in its sweet spot, it was just incredible writing and acting. Every show had some sort of message or moral.
Yeah.
Like, where did that go? Anyway.
I would say my favorite TV series of all time would probably be like the Seinfeld or Friends category, just because they're funny and lighthearted, and you don't have to have seen every previous episode to enjoy an episode. You can just sort of pick up wherever, and you're gonna be able to follow the storyline or whatever. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, I love Seinfeld for sure.
Kevin GJ73 says hot or cold.
Well, are you talking about weather, or are you talking about food or drinks?
I'm going to say temperature is probably what you're asking. I would rather be a little too hot than too cold. I think when you're too cold, you sort of just get like where you can't function. And I don't know. If I was choosing, I guess I would choose too hot.
I really like cooler weather. There's an old expression, there's no such thing as cold weather. There's only inappropriate clothing. You can usually dress to make cool weather feel warmer. If you're hot, you're hot.
Yeah.
But a lot of my favorite places are warm, temperate areas of the world. So there's that.
Kevin also asked red or white. I'm assuming he's asking regarding wine.
Oh.
That would be my guess.
For wine, I would say red.
Yeah, red also. And Becca Booze Zoo says, what are your travel plans for 2022?
Yep, this is a great final question in our little 20 questions presentation. Our travel plans for 2022, we would like to return to Asia. We're looking into doing that in the first portion of the year, maybe going back to Thailand. And then I would personally like to go to Vietnam and Laos and Bhutan and a lot of places over there. But of course, that is somewhat contingent on what's going on in the world and whether or not borders will be open and whether or not there will be quarantine restrictions in place and all of that stuff. So if we do not end up going to Asia, I think we will be hitching up our Airstream once again and going out and exploring new areas.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we do the Asia travels, that will probably be in like February or March when we typically are not doing RV travel anyway. So it shouldn't impact our RV travel too much. If we don't do the overseas stuff, I would say we'll probably spend some time in Florida, maybe kind of some areas in Florida we haven't explored very much, like St. Augustine and some of the Keys that we haven't really spent much time in. And then I would like to go to like the Savannah, Charleston area and maybe the coast of North Carolina, Wilmington and that area, just because those are places that we haven't really camped in yet. So I think maybe in the spring we'll try to hit those. And then for summer, I don't know. We'll see where we're going to end up. We kind of don't make plans too far in advance. We kind of just like have a general idea of where we're interested in going and try to head that way.
You know, every year, one of our missions is to visit new places to us. Mm-hmm. And so we will make that our mission once again in 2022.
And new national parks. We try to at least hit a few new national parks every year. So there's actually one national park in Florida we haven't been to yet. It's the Biscayne National Park. It's sort of south of Miami. And then there's a national park in South Carolina we haven't been to. So maybe we'll hit those this year.
Sorry, guys. Thus concludes our first and possibly last episode of 20 Questions, where we field your questions and give you straight answers.
Yeah, we just thought this would be a fun thing to do this week since it's Christmas week and we know people are super busy and may not be thinking about RV travel right now. We thought we'd just do something to sort of give you some insider information on us and maybe learn some things about us that you didn't know or things that maybe you'd forgotten over the years. And we just want to say thank you for being part of Long Long Honeymoon's Lolo Nation. If you haven't, please click the subscribe button down below. We are ever so close to hitting the 250,000 subscriber mark, and we would like to get there before the end of the year. That would be a great gift that you can help give us. We would be very appreciative. So click that little subscribe button down below and click the bell icon, and you'll be notified every time we upload a new video.
Yep. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let us know what you thought about it, especially if you liked it. If you didn't like it, I guess give us some straight feedback on what we could do to improve it.
Politely.
And ask some questions too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we will be combing through your questions and comments to find questions for the next episode of 20 Questions, which in this case I think was more like 30 or 40 questions. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you're all having a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas to all, and get ready for New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah, it's just around the corner. Until next time, what do we say? We say, lo, lo,
Lo, lo, ho.